So I came home today and I found this by my front door, left casually behind the column. I'm sure glad nobody knows what it is I order. But actually, this case here, it wasn't an order. This was something. This is a little toy that I got provided by Festool USA to do a review of. Now, obviously, it's still in a box. I actually already peeked inside the box, but it's still in the box. I'm going to put it together tonight and give you a little preview. And what it is, it's the WCR-1000. It's a little Workcenter that you attach to your CT vacuum, and it helps you, organize and basically keep a lot of necessities close at hand wherever you're working. So I'll give you a little bit of a preview. Obviously, I haven't worked with it yet, but I will be posting a follow-up review probably in a month or so after I see just what it is I like about it, what might be a good modification that you might be interested in doing. So, all right, I'm going to quit babbling because I want to get into this box. Alright, so somehow I gotta get my little Workcenter onto my CT22 vac. Now, this has been my Workcenter for quite a while. I really like it. I just put it on top of this is my tradesman cleaning set sustainer. I just keep it there with most of the accessories. Some of them that I use often I keep out here, and I have the whole thing assembled over there with a turbo head. But this is just a little box that I built. Just fits on here snugly. It's got some felt on it. Snug it up. Got cork on the top, so what I would do is I would take the sander and just, you could put a sander on here while it's still vibrating. It's not a problem. Put the tools on here. And I like it because in my case, I don't want the hose draped across from the vacuum to, say, the MFT where I might be storing a tool, because I'll walk into that hose and pull that tool right off. No problem. So this way here, I can put the tool on here, push this out of the way, and it's out of the way. It works out pretty well for me. On the side, I put a magnetic bar. I have a couple 4-inch combination squares. So then on the other side, I just took, you go to one of these Bed Bath Beyond and More type places there, and you'll find these little plastic containers that you use normally in a shower. I just put 2 screws through there, and it's great for all this other crud. And then of course, got to have a brush for the desk. So that's worked out really well. Oh, and I do actually have, because I have my plug-it cable already threaded up through the boom arm. Sometimes I need a separate one. And I do have just an extra one hanging off the back here. It works out kind of nicely. So I've really liked it. So we're going to see how the Workcenter compares. I've been drooling on this, not this one in particular, but been drooling on the Workcenter since it got announced. Since it seems like it would be a good organizational tool for your vac, and in my case, like I said, it's the center of my shop. So I do have the boom arm on here. The CT22 rather has 2 different positions that you can put the boom arm in, and I believe it's the same case for the 26 and the 36, except it happens at one of the positions for the 22 is a place where it just won't work with the Workcenter. And guess which one of the 2 positions I have mine in? That's right. So I got to move this boom arm over from this position here to this position here, and then we'll be able to pop the Workcenter. So one other modification that I made to my CT on the boom arm is this little attachment here. What it is, if you go to a big box store and you go into their pegboard accessory aisle, this is a piece that normally is used for hanging like a T-style drill. So you can put that up there. And no comments about that. That's a gift from my dad. So there's a nice, the arms are here, and this would normally fit into, like, I think these are a 1/4-inch hole pegboard or something like that. Anyway, they're easy to find. Just put this on here. I used zip ties on either side of one of the little attachments for the hose. I put a zip tie on either side so that keeps it from sliding down and holds it against it, but it's going to want to pivot because of the little arms. So I put 2 more zip ties to hold those arms in place. So what I end up doing with it is it's kind of nice to just take the hose and drape it up there. And what's nice about it too, I know that some people will like hook the hose with the power cord. If you've got it tied on like this with some Velcro, you can just hook it onto these little hooks. But with this, what's really nice is literally I'll throw it and it catches it. Now's the moment of truth. Now I already tinkered with this a little bit, so we'll be able to see. This sits inside. It has the bottom is made a lot like a classic sustainer's bottom, so that really sounded bad. So you're going to tip it into the holes back there, and then drop it in, and then lock it like that. That makes like the side latches that would be on the back, and this is the equivalent of like the front latches. So you can see it's nice and sturdy on there. It, this is fully extended, so it's as high as it's going to go. And for me, it's a little on the low side because I would still want to use this as that tool dock, like I was talking about. I'm so used to having that tool dock, I'm not going to know what to do if I don't have it. So normally, what you can use this for is you would put your systainers in there. So like if you see a Festool video, they have the guy, he sits there and he opens that up and he has all of his abrasives in there, which is great. In my case, I have the abrasives stored in other places. So I think I would use a systainer here less often, just because I'm in the shop and you can see I just have them in my own version of a sys port back there. So what I was trying to do, and I thought of, is maybe I could put this classic systainer back, and then I could put this on the top. But there's a problem with that, and here's what the problem is. Let me take this out. So again, this just, now in my case, I don't have the hose garage, and I think that makes a difference. When you see it on the videos, you're seeing it on the CT36, I believe, and that one comes with the hose garage automatically. I would have to order it on mine, and it pops it up a little bit higher. I think it's going to add around 4 inches. When I looked at the video again, I don't know how tall the guy is that's in the video, but it looked like it was only going to be about 3 inches taller than this when it was installed on the 22 here. So let's pop this back up. So you can see it would look a little funny because it's oversized for the systainer, which, who cares if it looks funny? It's in your shop, right? And but one of the things that's a catch, normally you would use the side latches to attach, like if you're stacking systainers. Even though this is made to look like the bottom of a systainer, it's actually made to sit inside of a recess that's for the hose garage and then be attached, because the hose garage has basically a connector that's very similar to this. So what happens is this connector doesn't reach. None of them do. All 4 of them, none of the 4 will reach. So I can't do this type of a trick. And I would have liked that, just to be able to raise it up. But then I was sitting there thinking about it, and what I was mentioning is that it was nice to have that the landing pad that I had made out of wood that was on top of this. And in a way, that's a solution. If I were to make another one of those and put this on, it turns out that the Workcenter has, on the bottom, you can see that there's recesses for 4 countersunk screws. I don't know what the rest of the recesses are. Those are probably for the bottom of your systainers to sit in it, and it's probably made a little different so that the newer T-locks can also sit in there flat, because these here are little recesses. So like the feet that are on the bottom of the systainer would sit in that. But there's these countersunk screw holes. Now I don't know if that's to attach to the hose garage. I don't have one to be able to check. But what I was thinking of doing is this. I'm going to leave this systainer here because I'm so used to it being here anyway. Mostly what I store in here now are the spare bags for this, because I have to take this off to get to the bags to the inside of the vacuum anyway. So it works out fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on. Now I have to move that little hook that was on the back, because that was set to the size of the boom arm. So there we go. Now that's back on there. Let me just take this caliper out of the way because I know I'm going to knock it over. And then what we can do, it turns out that the top of this frame is exactly where that recess sits in. And this is all just wood anyway, so for me what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put countersunk screws through those holes that are already provided, and I'm going to screw it into this little top that I've made. So it'll just sit on top of this systainer. Now maybe if you were to knock it, hit it really hard, it might be able to pop off of here easier than say if it was attached to the hose garage, but I'll try not to manhandle it too much. Yeah. I may play hockey, but it's a non-contact sport. So I was taking this apart because I want to move this rotating table. You move it to the other side by, there's a little knob here. You loosen up the knob, you can slide it off, and you put it up onto the other side. I wanted to show you how this thing is built, because it's actually pretty impressive. It's a number of, let me put this one down, and this is all extruded aluminum, but you can see that there's, the the shaped tracks here that the other mating piece rides on, there's some T-tracks here on the side, and actually that's how they lock into. You're hearing the screws move around. There's T-tracks here, and that's actually what you use to lock the height of the other rods. There's what looks a lot like guide rail connectors sitting down here. So that's what the screws are going to engage into and cinch it all together. But the interesting thing is up here, this whole thing, I mean, look at the way that thing is built. You got this big hunk of metal down there, and it's got four cap head screws going down into the rods that are in there to hold this whole thing together. This thing's built like a tank, and it weighs a fair amount. It looks like it wouldn't weigh that much, but it does. So